let's talk about hip hop as a whole. Like, I don't even want to really talk about like local stuff right now. I wanna
Okay,
talk
let's
about,
do it.
I want to talk about hip hop as a whole, right? So this is a situation, right? So a lot of people are starting to say like hip hop is dying, like hip hop is dead. It's like I've been seeing like even in just
Really?
music, yeah. Like no reports are coming out that they're having trouble selling out tours. They're having trouble selling tickets, bro.
Well,
But
okay,
I want to
so
address that from my point of view because I've been out here for a long
so
time.
is hip hop dead or the music business is dead? Because that's a difference.
I think it's a mixture of both though. Because you got to hear me out.
Let
right?
me hear you. Let's go.
So when they're starting to say that it's dying, and that people are having to cancel a lot of shows and they're not able to sell out like a lot of these arena shows, and it's just not moving the way it's supposed to be moving. I'm gonna tell you what I know. What I know is that when I got in this business, right?
Right.
You know, like the A-list top celebrities, the Lil Waynes, and even before that I've been in, but I'm saying you go, well, not before Wayne, but you know when he had his real
His run.
yeah, the Waynes, before Drake, like going back to that era, the top artists, like the very top artists, would be like 60K, 80K.
We talking first week type shit, right?
No, I'm talking for a show. That's what they wanted for a show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The very top artists, the very top of the top would be like, I want 60K, I want 50K. But most of your A-list artists, your Gottis, your Jeezys, these guys from 05, 06, they wanted 17,000, 15,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a point where Plies was like, he not doing it for less than 40. So it was a time where I feel like this is what's happening to that part of it, like the concert sales, the tickets, and all that.
So the business aspect.
I think they pricing themselves out because the problem is these rappers want too much money.
Well, are they pricing themselves out, or the contract that they have with the label is pricing them out? No. Look, because peep game, right? Because the label makes a percentage off of their concert and ticket sales, right? So typically what happens is they do something that we have called the markup. The markup in the event that the album doesn't do as well as they would like. They mark up the price on the ticket sales to try to sell it as a bundle or a package deal with the concert.
Not so much though, because that's the promoters you're talking about.
No. This is the label. The label, look, just peep game, right?
Let's hear it.
So when their album doesn't do as well, they still have to recoup from that, right? So what they do is they mark up the ticket sales. They also mark up the pricing for the artists as well because they want to be able to split diff on what they lost from the album sales. Typically what happens is artists know, well, even in the climate that we have now, nobody's selling like we used to back then because there's no physical property to sell.
Yeah, but it go back to what I'm saying again though. You're talking about if they're doing it internal, but most of the time they're getting booked by promoters, and these promoters are having to buy these dates on these tours.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at it from a promoter.
I'm talking about like tours. I ain't talking about club level. I'm talking about like tours right now. I'm talking about the
for sure,
arena shows. The big promoters are paying these people, and they telling these promoters, I want 750,000 a show. I want 500,000.
Yeah, ridiculous numbers,
bro. I want 1.5 million dollars for a show, and when they're doing that, that's what's causing the ticket sales to be high because now as a promoter, you got all your money. You had to pay for this arena. You had to pay for all of this stuff, the production, the lights, the security, all of these things you had to spend money for. So now you got to be like, I got to raise these ticket prices so I can make my money back.
Yeah, you fucking right.
What's happening though, what I'm telling you is that it was a time where these top artists, the very top artists, was under 100,000.
Yes, a lot of them.
And then you went from the top artists being under 100,000 to now some of the low artists, the ones that's not the top artists, are talking about I want 100,000.
Why do you think that?
Because they're not making money off the music no more. So going back to that, what's happening is that because of streams, people, we the people, I'm gonna say we the people, we allow the industry to tell us that having a CD is not cool.
Right.
And the same way they try to tell you that an Android is not cool.
Right.
And the same way they try to tell you
hold on now.
Hear me out. And the same way they try to tell you if you're not using Pro Tools, you're not using industry standards. It's like they try to set these industry standards to make everybody feel like if you're not doing this, then you're not it.
Right.
And what that does is it creates a lane or avenue. You're touching the mic, it's picking up that. Yeah. They it's creating a lane or avenue to where they're making people feel small for not having or for not doing so.
Like,
it was a time where the artist
got CDs.
Yeah, so artists was out there trying to sell their CDs and make money. They was making $10, $5. They out there selling their CDs, and they was like, a CD? Nah, bro, you can't. You can't, and it made you feel like people look at you like, nah,
my
bro.
car ain't even got no CD player,
and they all know they got CD.
You know what I'm saying, Captain? Like, cause and I can guarantee you that every nigga that listen to hip hop has a game system,
some kind of CD player,
some type of game system.
But it's not cool to accept the CD though. It's not. So even if somebody's trying to sell it,
it's different now. I'm gonna tell you why it's different now.
But I'm talking about how we got here. Let's go back to how we got here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How we got here.
We got here from the CD era.
When the CDs was out, and when people was still trying to sell CDs, people was like, nah, man.
Yeah.
You a CD? A CD?
A CD?
Man, I ain't seen a CD. Oh, a CD. They started acting like that. It's the same thing with the man who was out there trying to make money off of DVDs. A DVD? Nah, man. We on Netflix. But the reality was Redbox was still popping with those DVDs, but the man in the street hadn't got rid of it because everybody looked down on him like, man, I don't got no CD, DVD player. I don't got that on. And they all know they got DVD players or some kind of game system that played it, but they wanted to make them feel that you had to be cool, and it's the same way iPhone was able to take over the market.
Facts.
When iPhone came out, it was like AT&T exclusive only. You had to be AT&T, and it was like 3 times the price of every other phone.
It was.
So therefore, the celebrities was like on BBM back then. Remember the BlackBerry.
The roll.
They had the BlackBerry, right? The BBM, and because celebrities made BBM cool, everybody wanted a BlackBerry, which was the iPhone of its era. On AT&T only.
Facts.
And a lot of people at the time, you didn't have AT&T because AT&T gave you like 400 minutes for like.
Yeah, you remember
like
that? You're like, hey, look, I got to
$100
call you back. You got to call me back after 9 o'clock. You know, that's my anytime minutes.
You know what I'm saying? So it made it wasn't cool for you to not have a BBM. So the celebrities was on some like BBMs, and then the Palm Pilot was a thing too. You remember the Palm Pilot,
the big joints. But then you know T-Mobile came with the sidekicks and
but it still wasn't industry standard. So when you talk celebrities, everybody had BBM.
Yeah, the BlackBerry.
So they were saying BBM me.
Yeah, that was
and this was before the FaceTime and before.
Well, they had the two-way shit too though.
Yeah, but they had that too, the Motorola's, but that's before. That's a two-way pager. That's before the BBM. But I'm telling you how we went from BBM to iPhone.
Right.
So iPhone came out, people still had Razors and Nokias and other kind of phones, right?
Right.
But the problem was is that these celebrities was like, oh, I got an iPhone, and you had to wait in line for hours, and a lot of times it would sell out like a game console.
That's how CDs used to be.
I know, but this is how they made it. They made the industry do this because what they did was they said, well, look, if you want this iPhone, you're gonna have to wait in line, and they only made like a certain amount, so then it made you even more exclusive,
right?
Because now, it's just like when the J's used to come out when we was in school. The Dion's came out when the shoes would come out. Your mama, like, you had to be late to school or miss school if you had one.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna keep it a buck because we was poor. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the kids who came to school with them shoes on release day. Oh yeah, for sure.
They tried to make you feel small.
For sure.
Because he came in with the new Dion's on.
Right.
And you like, dang, he had them on day one. So this started as a child. They started grooming us to feel like you better than people if you got it first.
Right.
So what happened with it, we're going to go back to the shoes a little bit. We're going to go back. So when we was in elementary school, and like we're going to say elementary school, you had those kids that every pair of Jordans came out, or every Dion's or King
They
Griffey
always
Jordans,
had them.
They always had them. So everybody looked up to this person like they was cool.
Right.
So the kid who didn't have them was not cool.
Right.
So now everybody want to be around this kid because his mom could afford to buy her them shoes. So everybody was around his circle. He became the guy at the school that everybody wanted to be around. All the girls wanted him. All of the guys was like, that's my guy.
Right.
And everybody wanted to be that because he got all the shoes that came out, or these came out today, and he got them today. He would come, his mama would sign him in at like 9, 10 o'clock at school, and he would come in and walk around with his backpack
and be,
on.
you know what I'm
he got
saying,
the fresh
styling and shit.
Yeah, and then you had a lot of them kids that would do that.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, a lot of them lived in the projects, bro.
A lot of them.
So it's like they didn't even have it like that neither, but they had to show you that. So therefore, it started way back when. So they groom you to feel like, oh, you can't wear Walmart, you can't wear Payless. Oh man, you can't wear them.
Right.
And sometimes your mama was the one who could try, and she'll go to like Ross and get you like whatever.
You know what I'm saying? The little joints, you feel me?
And you had some Adidas or something. So now you happy because you like, I ain't got the J's, but I got some name brand. And this is where the whole name brand thing started becoming a whole thing. So it was the same thing when you fast forward into like the whole iPhone era was, oh, you still using an Android? Like, you got to get an iPhone, man. So everybody
down on you for that.
So people started getting iPhones, but then it was so bad that the iPhone 6, 7 came out, and some people just was able to get a 3.
Yep.
Because they could only afford to get that 3.
Right.
But because I got a 3, I still got an iPhone. So therefore, they was okay.
They still part of the cool class.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So therefore, it's like, Android, like, nah. So then I brought that up just to bring up the CD era. So when the CDs came, when the streaming started happening, it was like, nah, CDs ain't cool no more, bro. My boy, listen, you need to put them CDs away, bro. Like, So when he out there trying to pass out and sell the CDs, everybody was looking down like, nah, bro, I don't want no CDs. So we started that. Then what happened? The artists got robbed. This is when the industry was said, we gonna go with this thing called streaming, and then streaming started happening, and then the CD era just kind of like started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the auto industry, I'm sure they made a deal, backroom deal somewhere, because I know this for a fact right here. Xbox made a deal with Duracell to keep regular batteries in their controllers. This is why the Xbox controller to this day is not rechargeable. They made a deal with Duracell that said, some kind of millions or billions of dollar deal that said that if you keep it where you use batteries, we will pay you. So now when people want to play Xbox, they had to keep putting batteries in the remote. To this day, the last Xbox ever released.
And that's how you control it.
And I feel like it's the same thing with the CD era. I think they got with the automakers and was like, don't make it with the CD player no more. We'll pay you.
You think so?
I believe so, because then it went to like, you don't even get an option for a CD player.
Right.
So I know technology was advanced, and I know it was coming a time where you probably didn't need it no more. But the reality was, I feel like they sped the process up on some like, you don't want a DVD player or a CD player in your car, because remember, everybody was getting DVDs in their car too at the time.
Yes.
Putting TVs and screens and all of that.
You're right.
And this is when the era when I was putting these Street Fame DVDs out, and it was like a big deal because everybody had DVD players in their car. But then that only lasted for a few years, and then it went to, oh man, I got MP3s. I need a flash drive. I got a jump drive.
Or iPod.
Yeah, the AirPod.
The iPod.
The iPod. And the iPod is what it was called. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And it was like, they was on some like iPod. Like, we can't do that. Then it went to people having the MP3 player that wasn't an iPod, back to that whole, I'm better than you
comparison shit,
So all of that stuff was happening. And then I think the automakers got with these industries and was like, okay, how about we just make it with no CD player? Don't even give them an option no more. Because when that started happening, then it's like, people started saying, most of the time I'm listening to music is when I'm in my car.
So you really think the labels and the auto companies have a relationship?
I believe they definitely did something. I believe it definitely happened, because how do we go from people wanting to have DVD players in their cars?
Well, you're speaking specifically to the DVD. I want to speak specifically to the CD.
Yeah, but they phased out at the same time is what I'm trying to tell you.
Not so much.
Yeah, they kind of did, because the CD player. But this is the thing.
The DVDs lasted a lot longer than the CDs.
Not really though, because it's still CD players in cars that's like a little bit newer. Like if you go back to some, I seen like some cars 2018s, even some of them still got CD players.
Really?
In them. Yes, but they made you feel like you couldn't put a CD in it no more. And most of these people who driving around right now, they have a CD player in their car, because most of y'all cars ain't no 2025s. Let's stop the cap if that's what you're saying.
Come on, let's be real.
We know you ain't got 2022s and 23s and 24s. A lot of y'all have a CD player still. But I feel like some automakers phased it out faster. That's why I feel like it was involved somehow, because the fact that why did y'all stop in like 2014, but they still doing it 2018?
Still doing it, right.
So I feel like it was a big thing. I do believe that a lot of times what y'all don't see on the behind the scenes is that the labels was all setting this up to where they can make all the money. So therefore, rappers started making less money off of. It was a time where they was complaining how much they made off their CDs. So then when they stripped that away, like okay, now you can't make nothing off the CDs because they ain't
right.
So
well, it was a bit bigger than that, right? Because with the CDs, like the CDs, you realize was birthed because we no longer wanted tapes.
Yeah.
You feel me? We no longer wanted cassette tapes because we thought cassette tapes wasn't cool. But there was upon a time where we used to ride around on our Dinos and GTs and Mongoose, and we had that Sony in that bitch, or that Panasonic. You feel me?
After they phased out the Sony because they didn't like what we were doing with Sony.
So did cassettes and Sony kind of have a relationship type shit?
I believe it. I believe it all ties in together. I believe it was like get rid of the tapes, make it not cool, and then it was like let's make the CDs.
Let's convert the CDs.
But then the CDs, it was too many people like us independently out there trying to make money off of it.
Right.
And they don't like that because look how they started taking people down for piracy and you can't.
Well, that's how a lot of these, big independent companies got a lot of their.
But who made more money on the street level from this stuff? Black people.
The artists, the black people, yes, but
so they took away our income. They just like, nah, we got to take these out of the street.
Because they couldn't tax it.
Because we could go platinum in the streets without the labels.
And they couldn't tax it.
So that's why I believe they did definitely go in on it with the automakers and other people.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, because they didn't want us to do that because it was too many rappers at the time talking about how many albums they sold out of their trunk.
I mean, look out. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these dynasties started like that. Like the Cash Money started like that. The No Limit started like that. The Rockefeller started like
Slim
that.
Thug.
The E40 started like that. The Slim Thugs, the Mike Jones, the Paul Walls, the Chameleonaires, the Loonies.
You was able to do that on your own without the labels.
Without the label.
Without the streaming platforms, without none of that stuff.
And you didn't need no special graphics. You didn't need no razzmatazz and all. Like, bro, I remember niggas used to have like the whole sleeves, bro.
Yeah.
Cupped.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. So we was out there making too much money off of it.
Yeah.
And the artist was making so much money off of it because what I believe when the bootleg era or whatever, they tried so hard to stop bootleg.
To stop the bootleg.
Remember that, right? They tried to do all this. They cut down LimeWire and they chopped down AirShare and all of the torrent sites and everything that we was using. The Napster got it. Remember Napster?
But that was an actual legit site. Like a lot of these. Okay, so we're talking about the pirated sites like the Kazaa, the BearShares, and all that. Like
the Napsters and all that.
Yeah, those were like pirating sites though.
Yeah, but you gotta understand at the same time, this was making it where artists could technically leak their own album.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They talked about it being burnt, but at the same time, by it being burnt and being leaked, it got bigger because all of the men who selling CDs in the street.
That's where he getting it from.
Everybody's hearing his album.
Yeah.
So he's selling it out his trunk in Texas or whatever. But when he leak it on these platforms, now the whole world hears it. Now he got distribution. You understand? You ain't think about it like it's distribution basically because.
Well, that's how Soulja Boy did it.
Now every street CD selling people that sell and make CDs, they got the music. Yep. So then the labels was like, oh no, So the labels got in. They started trying to shut down all these platforms.
Now mind you, this was no internet now.
Yeah.
This was like not no social media, Facebook, Instagram. This wasn't that time yet.
Nah.
We didn't have that.
Yeah.
So you had to be putting foot to pavement and getting there.
Yeah.
You had to gas up the whip, no GPS.
Yeah, no GPS, MacBooks.
You had to get there. And y'all wouldn't have survived that because in that era, you had to move around.
To put the work in.
You had to go hand to hand.
You couldn't sit behind your phone on a computer.
You couldn't do that.
You had to go to a real studio. You had to create.
You know what I'm saying?
You couldn't sit on no BandLab.
No BandLab, no Rap Chat.
No, you couldn't do none of that.
None of that. You had to get busy. And that's why it was more so of the golden era of hip hop.
Man, look at your comment. I had to tell you about that real quick, man. But yeah, so
hey, look, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. You got the guns, bruh. we welcome to the gun show, cuz. You know what I'm saying? That's what getting fit and being in the gym feel like. You feel me?
Yeah.
But you know,
basically, long story short, so this whole era was created and all of this happened because of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where the music, fast forward to 2025, why the music is dying because the industry made it to where they make all the money and the artists get none. You see what I'm saying? So because they make all the money and all the artists get none, now the artists are like, you know, are starting to kind of, their careers are starting to come down because the only way they can really keep up with their lifestyle is if they charge this much for shows. You understand? Because they're only really making money off of shows now.
Right.
Like
this okay to
radio,
to go
and
back,
then they try to make radio not cool. So that's a whole
right. Look, so but to go back to the CDs, right? Because I think it was a misconception from the start, right? So and we touched on this a little bit, but we kind of we glossed over it a little bit. Now, when we were talking about CDs and the selling of CDs and the amount of artists that were getting little to nothing from their CDs, we complained about that CDs, right? So what happened was this what changed. I'm gonna give you some insight on it. So what happened is that when the labels, and these were all of the down south record labels that kind of was like the pioneers for this shit.
Yeah.
Because in New York, which kind of like was the mecca of hip hop, they already had labels there. They had the Atlantics, the Sonys, the UMGs, the Amalgam Digitals, the Koch. They already had a place like you can literally walk up Broadway and see a record label. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that down here. So when CDs first was released, like up north and all of that shit in West Coast, like the deals that those artists were getting were kind of compacted because they already had labels there. So the labels were able to kind of monetize them and control their CD usage, if you will. That's why they were getting mad at like the whole bootleg and shit. But down south, we didn't have any record labels to kind of monitor how we did things. That's why P was able to go platinum and Baby Num was able to go platinum because there was no record labels here. And even if there was a record label, it was independent. You had like the Swisher House and what's the Rap-A-Lot Records, Slip and Slide. Like all of these were like independent labels. You feel me? So when the artist drop a project, he going right to the streets. He got 10 of his homeboys. They all got on black shirts. They all got on the same color shirts. And it's when you had to have a street team.
Yeah.
See, some of you artists might not know this, right? But before the internet came into place, there's a lot of things that you had to have in order to consider yourself as an artist, right? First and foremost, if you didn't have a street team out here, you wasn't making it as an artist.
And we're going to stop it right there, man. This is what we talking about right now. Y'all got to stay tuned and we're going to be educating everybody. We're going to talk about Tampa. I know he did intro, but we got a whole lot more to talk about before we get here. Yeah. But this is why y'all should tune in, because we're going to break it all down as to like how we got here and what needs to happen for it to be a better situation for everybody.
Facts.
Because right now it is dying, and unless we do something about it and somebody really break it down, it's gonna fall.
But God damn it, we here to do something about it today.
That's what we doing, man. Street fan, well, y'all already know.
Yaga.